Sunak's government did not know how schools spent £9.2 billion a year allocated to help disadvantaged children. We're going to read into this piece more from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Byline Times with the headline that Sunak's government did not know how schools spent £9.2 billion a year allocated to help disadvantaged children. There's been a lack of sustained progress by government in reducing the attainment gap between disadvantaged children and their new peers. A new report by the National Audit Office has found. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. So, of course, I think it's important to highlight, obviously, the Sunak's government's obviously come and gone. But I also think it's important to highlight some of the things that we must always continue to look back on that period, that 14-year period. And remember the continuous reminder of ourselves that of the damage that it has caused not on the UK as a whole, not just England, not just Wales, not just Scotland, Northern Ireland, but all four nations. And I think that's a really important point. I mean, this headline itself saying that schools, that Sunak's government didn't even know how they were spending the money, it's quite shocking. And we know that obviously from 2010 to up to the year that they were kicked out, we know that the funding gap between state and private schools also expanded, widened. More money was in private than there was in state, and austerity obviously harmed public schools, harmed them to a significant bit. But we're not even just talking about normal children; we're talking about disadvantaged children. And as somebody I went through a special needs school myself. I wouldn't consider myself someone who has disabilities, but I had challenges, let's just say. And, I at the time, luckily I had the help and support that I needed from my school and the support of my mum and dad and whatnot, everything that I needed to help me get through what was a difficult period in my life. But for some other kids, they don't have that at all. They're not given that opportunity. And I do fear that a lot of children haven't had that opportunity in the last 14 years. Not because teachers and schools and parents don't want to help them, but because perhaps the places weren't there and the funding wasn't there. And I do wonder whether Sunak's government ever cared about people, and I just don't think so. The last 14 years really does paint a lot of pictures to me. Let's read a bit more into this, you guys. So, the attainment gap of the 2.3 million disadvantaged children in England's schools has deteriorated since 2011, despite the last government spending £9.2 billion helping them in the past year, a report by the National Audit Office had revealed. The report found that 60% of disadvantaged children achieved the expected reading levels at the end of primary school in 2022-2023, compared with 78% of those not known to be disadvantaged. It also found that 25% of disadvantaged pupils achieved a grade 5 or above in English and Maths GCSEs in 2022-2023, compared with 52% for those not known to be disadvantaged. There has been a lack of sustained progress by government in reducing the attainment gap between disadvantaged children and their peers, the report states. This, coupled with not knowing the full impact of almost half of the investment spent on disadvantaged children, does not demonstrate value for money. The programme to help disadvantaged children was a flagship policy of the Conservative governments since 2011. The former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak claimed last year that the UK was a world beater in achieving high standards for children in schools. The government has already made huge progress since 2010 to raise standards in schools and support higher quality teaching, he said last year. Our 9 out of 10-year-olds are now the best at the West at reading, ahead of other major developing economics like France, Germany and Spain. Over 8% of schools are good or outstanding, just up from 68% where this government came into the office. The NAO report revealed that this did not apply to disadvantaged children. They were hit during the pandemic when schools were locked down. But research by the NAO shows that the attainment gap had started to fall before the coronavirus crisis had started. The new government wants to encourage more skilled young people into work to boost the economy, but the NAO figures showed that 75% of disadvantaged 16-year-olds did not achieve grade 5 in English and Maths, which is necessary to go on further education and obtain a good apprenticeship. The NAO's report suggests that better management of the £9.2 billion a year spent on disadvantaged children should make a big difference, rather than spending more money. Discovered that the Department of Education does not even know whether schools spent the money allocated to help disadvantaged children, as it is not ring-fenced and could easily have been spent on other provisions. The department does not have a systematic way to understand how schools spend this funding and therefore what works, according to the report, and relies on Ofsted alongside a local accountability mechanism such as scrutiny by school governors. The report also found that the money could have been directed to schools which receive a pupil premium in deprived areas where the largest proportion of disadvantaged children live. Disadvantaged children absent from schools has increased significantly, with the Department of Education developing a response while continuing to build its understanding of what works, the report states. So since COVID-19, school attendees have become a significant challenge, with the Department of Education rates as a major issue in its departmental risk register. Disadvantaged children are more likely to be absent from schools rather than their peers, and more than 4 times more likely to be permanently excluded. The strongest evidence that the ministry that has in employing tutors does have a big impact on the progress of disadvantaged children, but relatively little money to spend on them. A Department of Education spokesperson has said too many children are being held back by their backgrounds, and this report shines a light on the work that is needed to break down barriers and opportunities to improve life chances of all children. We will deliver real change by integrating childcare in the early years of the wider education system as a national priority, delivering free breakfast clubs for every primary school, and by developing an ambitious strategy to reduce child poverty. This government is fully focused on supporting the most vulnerable and disadvantaged children, learning from the past and drawings from NAO findings and recommendations. I do hope that they get a grip on, more importantly, the disadvantaged children. They are ones that are often overlooked in this situation. And I'm glad that the Byline Times put this piece out. I think it's really, really important that disadvantaged children are not ignored, and their concerns and that their needs are looked into. I think it's a very important thing, and I'm hoping that because of this report by the National Audit Office, that Labour will pounce on it and respond to it in due course. And I say in due course. You can't say now because it's too early to say so. But I do think it's a very important issue that needs to be addressed. The future of children are very important. Every single child's future matters. Every single child needs to be given the best opportunities that they possibly can, whatever advantages or disadvantages they have against each other. We need to try and make a level playing field for all. And I don't feel that has been done over the last 14 years by the Conservatives. But let's hope that changes under a Labour government. But, like everything, time will tell. So what do you guys make of this? What do you guys make of the fact that Sunak's government apparently did not know about school spending? Not enough being helpful for disadvantaged children, according to the report. What do you guys honestly think about it? Let me know your thoughts and more down in the comments section below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching. Hope to catch you all very, very soon.